Gunther started the show, and he brags about putting Bill Goldberg to sleep and making John Cena tap out. He is on his road back to the World Championship. And tonight's Raw was significant because it felt like the company woke up and realized, oh my God, the Royal Rumble's in 13 days. So tonight was all about, hey, we've got 2 Rumble matches. And Gunther became the first of many on this show to declare their major for the Royal Rumble in Riyadh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Big news. But someone who is not happy about this is AJ Styles, who comes out and he gets a terrific response from this crowd in Belfast. And Styles does not want to move on. He wants a rematch at the Royal Rumble. And Gunther turns him down. So AJ is like, I've got 2 options. I either make fun of his dick or I ask, are you scared? And Gunther is like, oh no, I'm not scared. And he reminds Gunther that I made you tap out like a little bitch. And so the crowd chants little bitch at Gunther. Gunther explains, I have no incentive to wrestle you. But then all of a sudden, an idea dawns upon Gunther when he says, you put your career on the line and I will face you at the Rumble. And so AJ will give him an answer before the end of the night. And Gunther says, unless you're a little bit scared. And AJ was going to have to Skype home to, well, I guess he can't Skype any longer, but he would have to call his wife to figure out, should I do double duty in Saudi Arabia? And I know that her answer was, well, is it double the payoff then?
I think every title challenge or match acceptance should be met with, I gotta ask my wife.
That is not a trope that is used too often in pro wrestling. They could get a lot of mileage out of this. You imagine, like, Hell in a Cell with Taker and Foley? If Colette says yes, then I'll say bang, bang.
I love this. So I thought they did a great job with the segment, okay? I always thought the whole, like, Gunther saying, I made John Cena tap like a little bitch thing. I almost found it a little too, like, gimmicky and a little too cartoonish for my liking when it comes to a guy who I perceive as, like, a very realistic person in Gunther. Like, that to me was a much more of a cartoonish sort of, like, mustache twirling type of take on him. But seeing how they played this out with AJ now being able to taunt him for tapping out like a little bitch, I do really like that sort of poetry. And I thought they built to the career stipulation here in a pretty logical and organic way. I mean, AJ didn't even lose clean last week. He was screwed, essentially, and it bothers him so much that he's even willing to put his career on the line. So I thought it flowed and made sense as a story.
At this moment, with the lack of build for the Rumble, like, this feels head and shoulders the biggest thing on the show
the Rumble's always going to be like the big thing because of
it is, but it's like people are going to be really into this because everyone knows AJ is actually retiring, and you've got this gimmick with Gunther, and I don't think it's a wild idea that you could have AJ win and then falls to Gunther later. But I think many people are going to be expecting like Gunther to win this match. And I think that there's a realness to this match that nothing else on the show is going to have. Like, the Rumble, it's the Rumble. And yes, that will be, the day of. A lot of people are going to be psyched for that. But this feels like a big match. This feels a lot bigger than what, than like the Drew McIntyre title defense is on that same show.
If it's Sammy, I think that would feel plenty big for Saudi. I mean, I totally agree with you, though. Like, between the 2 Rumbles and now this match and potentially Sammy versus Drew, like, yeah, it's like a pretty stacked card. And I imagine they'd add a women's match in there or something like that. But I think the only thing holding this one back is the fact that it's so early in the calendar year. This being the first pay-per-view of the entire year, you wouldn't necessarily think this would be AJ's actual last match. But
you're really holding on to that Frankie Kazarian match that they set up on Thursday.
He will retire on TNA.
Do you think they would do TNA dirty like that and not give them the AJ Kazarian match? After
AJ's actual retirement match will take place on AMC, okay, against Frankie Kazarian at some point. Yeah. But that's really the only thing I think holding back maybe the maximum sort of like believability of this match possibly being his last one. That doesn't mean that crowd won't get into those near falls. I anticipate they will. And I also hope that this will springboard some sort of long-term story if AJ beats Gunther, well, maybe there's still a rematch to be had later on in the year that might actually be his final match.
Yeah. I mean, there's also like the poetry of it's 10 years from his debut at the Royal Rumble to this year's Royal Rumble as well. Anyway, so I think it's a compelling stipulation, obviously.
Yeah. Do you guys think Gunther loses to AJ, gets his heat back by winning the Rumble? Loses to okay. Yeah, I could see that scenario.
There's a scenario that's a really like they may not go this direction, but for AJ to win that match and Gunther wins the Rumble, and then that sets up, now it's your February show. You could do career versus the Mania spot. And that's something AJ is willing to put his career on the line one more time. But if he can win, he gets a Mania main event out of it.
So does he win or lose?
And he loses.
So you think he retires at Elimination Chamber? Like, I think even that's still too early.
I think it's possible, yes. I think if you're dangling this career thing already, I feel like it's I think it wraps up earlier than people
what's
expect.
his incentive to retire in February? Are we just talking about a contract?
It could be like
I like they're not even fully exploring, the AJ retirement. Like there's still so many more matches you could do for AJ's last run for it to end in February.
Well, we could see. I don't know. I'm just saying as a story, I think that works really well. I mean, you could then. Like, I don't see him doing a whole, like, how much are they going to put into, like, the AJ, like, are they going to make, like, 6-8 months out of this? I just don't know if they are.
Could. I think you could do at least, like, 6 months, so if they wanted to, like, peak into SummerSlam or something. But
so what would you see as the outcome here? Okay, he beats Gunther.
Yeah, and then I think Gunther winning the Rumble after that is really, like, a really great scenario.
And they just go their separate ways?
Maybe they meet back up like later on in the year, but I wouldn't necessarily see them revisiting it like right away. Like that.
Do you think that ultimately Gunther, like, he should add AJ to his name of retired?
Potentially, but I also think like at this point that might almost be a little predictable. You also argue, what does Gunther really gain by beating AJ? He's already beaten John Cena. That's about as top as you can get. I would almost rather see like AJ go off with like a Javon Evans, like somebody who, like, again, you might theoretically say he could pass the torch to, something like that. So, but like the scenario NDB lines out, I think makes a whole lot of sense. In fact, like it might even post Gunther. So then who would you put against Gunther? Punk? Is that Gunther Punk then at Mania?
You run that back.
Yeah. Run it back. When did they do that?
That was SummerSlam last year.
SummerSlam, yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that could be it.
I mean, there's a great, like, if you were to do this, I mean, Sammy beating Drew, and you do Sammy and Gunther again at Mania after Sammy had ended the IC title streak at Mania. Like, that's something fresh. That's something new.
Yeah.
Drew, Gunther's in I mean, there's a lot of like, we don't know how much the card has like changed ultimately, because I think it opens up all these possibilities. Like, if you're not going the Cody Reigns direction, like, it opens up all these different directions. Like, is a Reigns Gunther match out of the question at this point? Like, it's all these different, like, Brock's name is, like, Brock's probably going to need, like, you'd want to shoot some angle with Brock in the Rumble to set his Mania up as well. So,
but I could totally see like Gunther being a favorite for this year's Rumble, and I think with that I think AJ would beat him anyway.
January is your month to beat the price increase at the Post Wrestling Cafe. Before our regular tier jumps to $8, you have a chance to lock in the old existing price for all of 2026, but you've got to do it before February 1st. Also this month, we kick off our WWE Unreal Season 2 reviews with weekly releases covering each and every episode. We'll also be looking back at the Okada-Tanahashi feud dating back to 2012 with some of their most famous matches. Plus, Chris Jericho's A Lion's Tale will be the subject of this month's book club. All that and more is yours at postwrestlingcafe.com.